All right, let's talk about Ghana. Specifically, let's talk about its money, the CDI. Now, if you were following African currency news back in 2024, you'd know the CDI was having a time. And when I say terrible, I mean it was one of the worst performing currencies in sub-Saharan Africa, depreciating by about 24% against the US dollar. Think of it like this. Your wallet is suddenly much lighter, not because you spent anything, but because the money itself decided to go on a crash diet. This isn't just an abstract economic problem, it means everyday life gets harder. Imported goods from fuel to food become painfully expensive. Businesses struggle, it's a recipe for national gloom. But then, plot twist. Fast forward to 2025 and the Ghanaian cedi has apparently decided it's had enough of being the underdog. It's staging a comeback, a pretty dramatic one at that. We're talking an appreciation of nearly 16% against the US dollar, making it for a while the best performing currency. Yes, globally, from the bottom of the barrel to top of the world. It's the sort of turnaround story that Hollywood loves, only this time it's about fiscal policy and foreign exchange rates, which admittedly are less thrilling than a training montage, but significantly more important for millions of Ghanaians. People must be blinking, wondering if they accidentally woke up in an alternate reality where their money suddenly got stronger. So, what's behind this Lazarus-like resurrection of the CDI? Well, it's not just one single magic bullet. The Business and Financial Times points to a few key drivers. Firstly, improved export earnings have played a big role. Gold prices have been surging, climbing from around $2,000 to a dazzling $3,400 per ounce. Cocoa prices, another major Ghanaian export, have also been elevated. More money coming in from exports means more foreign currency flowing into the country, which naturally helps strengthen the local currency. It's like your country suddenly found a load of cash down the back of the global sofa. And it's not just export earnings. The Ghanaian government has apparently been doing some fiscal housekeeping. We're talking improved fiscal management, some serious expenditure cuts, and even the elimination of certain taxes. This kind of action tends to boost economic confidence. Add to that a commitment to an IMF-supported reform agenda, which unlocked a cool $370 million in financial support. This not only provides direct funds, but also acts as a green light for other investors. Plus, a temporary suspension of external debt servicing under a debt restructuring program has reduced the immediate demand for foreign exchange. It's a multi-pronged approach, and for now the CDI is basking in the glow. Now let's zoom in on one of the shiniest factors in this steady comeback story: gold. Yes, that alluring yellow metal that has driven people mad for centuries. It turns out gold is playing a starring role in Ghana's currency revival. The Bank of Ghana, the country's central bank, hasn't just been idly watching gold prices go up, it's been actively buying gold. Lots of it. According to the Business and Financial Times, the Bank of Ghana increased its gold holdings by a whopping 40.6% between May 2024 and April 2025. That's a significant shopping spree, and it's not for making oversized presidential necklaces. Why is a central bank hoarding gold like a particularly fiscally responsible dragon? Well, it's all about confidence and stability. When a central bank has substantial gold reserves, it enhances the intrinsic value backing its currency. Think of it as a very shiny, very heavy insurance policy. It signals to the market and to the world that the CDI isn't just paper. It's backed by something tangible and universally valued. This increased backing is designed to boost market confidence, making people more willing to hold and transact in cedis, thereby supporting its value. It's a classic move, really. When in doubt, buy gold. This isn't just about passively holding gold either. The Bank of Ghana has also been actively playing the markets. For instance, Bloomberg reported that the central bank sold $214 million to the market in the week leading up to November 11th, 2024. This was its highest weekly intervention in 2024 and directly contributed to the CDI's appreciation around that time. By selling foreign currency, like US dollars, and buying cedis, the central bank directly increases demand for its own currency, pushing its price up. It's like a big player stepping into the currency casino and placing a massive bet on their own team. So, the strategy seems pretty straightforward. Boost gold reserves to build a fundamental strength, then use market interventions to nudge the currency in the right direction. And on the face of it, it's working. The CDI gained 0.2% on November 11th, 2024, to reach 16.3302 per US dollar, and the broader trend in 2025 has been even more impressive. The numbers are looking good. The currency is appreciating. Ghana is making headlines for the right reasons, economically speaking. And you knew there was a but coming, didn't you? The big question is, where is all this gold coming from? And what's the price being paid for it? All right, so Ghana is on a gold-buying bonanza, and its currency is looking buffer for it. Fantastic. But now we have to ask the awkward question, where precisely is this river of gold originating? According to an MSN report, a significant portion of the gold bolstering Ghana's reserves is being purchased from, wait for it, illegal miners and small-scale miners. Yes, you heard that correctly. The shiny foundation of this currency appreciation might just be resting on some rather muddy and morally ambiguous ground. This isn't gold, neatly stacked in high-security vaults after being ethically sourced with a fair trade sticker on it. Now, it's important to note that small-scale mining, in itself, isn't necessarily a villain. It's a sector that provides livelihoods for many Ghanaians. The government has even been making efforts to formalise this small-scale gold mining sector. And these efforts, as the Business and Financial Times notes, have indeed contributed to boosting export volumes, which in turn helps the CDI. The idea behind formalisation is to bring these miners into the official economy, ensure they operate under some level of regulation, pay their taxes, and hopefully mine more responsibly. That's the sunny, optimistic official version of the story. However, the reality on the ground in Ghana, as in many places where gold is dug up by individuals and small groups, is often far messier. The term you'll hear repeatedly is galamsey. This refers to illegal, small-scale mining operations, and galamsey is, to put it mildly, a byword for environmental chaos and often human exploitation. These operations frequently fly under the radar of any effective regulation. They use methods that are cheap, fast, and devastatingly effective at one thing: ripping gold out of the earth as quickly as possible with little to no regard for anything else. Think of it as a gold-fueled free-for-all. So, while the Bank of Ghana proudly announces its increased gold reserves and economists cheer the city's rise, a crucial question hangs in the air. What is the true cost of this gold? Is the short-term gain in currency stability, however welcome, worth the long-term and potentially irreversible damage caused by the methods used to extract a large part of this gold? Because, spoiler alert, when you start looking at the environmental impact reports, the shine comes off this golden strategy very, very quickly. The story becomes less about economic recovery and more about ecological sacrifice. Let's talk about the environment, that big green and blue thing we all depend on. Because while Ghana's SEDI is getting a facelift, the country's actual face is, in many areas, being horrifically scarred. The galamsey operations, the very ones contributing to the gold reserves, are reportedly causing severe, widespread environmental degradation. We're not talking about a few misplaced shovelfuls of dirt here. We are talking about the systematic destruction of lands, turning once fertile areas into barren, pitted wastelands. Forest reserves, vital ecosystems are being invaded and torn apart. And it's not just the land and forests that are suffering. Water bodies are bearing an enormous brunt of this unregulated gold rush. Rivers and streams, the lifeblood for communities and wildlife, are being systematically poisoned. Galamsey operations often use mercury to amalgamate fine gold particles, and this mercury, along with other toxic chemicals like cyanide, is frequently discharged directly into the water. Major rivers like the Ankobra, Pra, Tano and Birim have seen their water quality plummet, turning them muddy, toxic, and in some cases biologically dead. Imagine relying on that water for drinking, for fishing, for farming. It's a nightmare. The impact on wildlife is predictably catastrophic. When you destroy forests and poison rivers, the animals that live there don't just pack their bags and move to a nicer neighborhood. They die, or their habitats shrink to the point where they can no longer survive. This isn't just an aesthetic loss, it's a blow to biodiversity, which has its own intrinsic value and is crucial for ecosystem health. The lush landscapes that Ghana is known for are, in these mining areas, giving way to scenes of utter desolation. It's a silent massacre of the natural world. So, as the cedi strengthens, buoyed by this gold, It's crucial to understand that this isn't free money. It's coming at a tremendous environmental cost. The very resources that should underpin Ghana's long-term prosperity, its fertile land, its clean water, its rich biodiversity, are being traded for short-term currency stability. It's an incredibly dangerous gamble. It's like trying to fix a leak in your roof by tearing down the walls of your house so that you might stay dry for a night, but you're going to have much bigger problems very soon. Section 5. Leaders looking shiny, future looking grimy, questioning political endorsements. Now, any sane person looking at this situation, a currency getting stronger while the environment gets trashed, would probably ask, hello, is anyone in charge actually seeing this? And that, my friends, is where we get to the uncomfortable topic of political leadership. Ghanaian political leaders are currently facing a storm of criticism, and frankly, it's not hard to see why. They are being accused of endorsing or at least tolerating policies that prioritize these fleeting currency gains over the lasting health of the nation's environment and its people. It's a classic tale of short-term sparkle blinding leaders to long-term rot. The intense focus on the cedi's appreciation, driven significantly by this gold sourced from destructive mining, is viewed by many critics, as highlighted by MSN, as profoundly short-sighted. It's like a doctor who only treats the symptoms, say a fever, with an ice bath, while completely ignoring the raging infection causing it. Sure, the temperature might drop for a bit, making the patient look better, but the underlying disease is just getting worse. Are Ghana's leaders genuinely failing to foresee the devastating future consequences of unchecked galamsey, or are they seeing it, but choosing to kick the can down a very polluted road? There's an undeniable and deeply cynical logic at play here, one that's common in politics worldwide. Environmental degradation is often a slow burn, its worst effects manifesting over years, even decades. A rising currency, on the other hand, is immediate. It's a clear, easily digestible number that can be touted as a success story, especially when elections are on the horizon. It's far sexier to announce the cedi is strong than we've marginally slowed the rate of topsoil erosion in a remote region, even if the latter is far more important for the country's future. This isn't just about accidental oversight or a lack of foresight, it's about deliberate choices. Choices to perhaps not enforce environmental regulations as strictly as they should be. Choices to celebrate the influx of gold without loudly and consistently decrying the methods of its extraction. Choices to frame the debate around immediate economic relief rather than long-term, sustainable prosperity. And these choices, make no mistake, are actively shaping Ghana's future, steering it towards a scenario where the land itself might become the ultimate price for today's currency stability. It's a grim trade-off. Section 6. The IMF and World Bank, helpful hands or hidden puppeteers. Whenever a developing nation undertakes significant economic restructuring, especially when it involves complex trade-offs like we're seeing in Ghana, it's always worth looking around for the presence of large, besuited international financial institutions. And surprise, surprise, the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, is indeed a player in Ghana's current economic narrative. As the Business and Financial Times reported, Ghana's commitment to an IMF-supported reform agenda was instrumental in unlocking $370 million in financial support. This funding and the IMF's stamp of approval undoubtedly helped to bolster investor confidence and, by extension, the cedi. Now, the IMF and its sibling institution, the World Bank, present themselves as benevolent uncles of the global economy. They offer financial lifelines, dispense macroeconomic advice, and champion structural reforms aimed at fostering stability and growth. And to be fair, their interventions can sometimes pull countries back from the brink. They can enforce a degree of fiscal discipline that might otherwise be lacking. However, their involvement often comes with strings attached, conditions that countries must meet to keep the money flowing. And that's where things can get a bit murky. There's persistent speculation, and it's not just idle gossip, that these powerful international bodies can, subtly or not so subtly, nudge countries towards policies that prioritize rapid resource extraction. Why? Well, often it's to ensure that the borrowing nation can service its debts or to meet specific fiscal targets agreed upon as part of a loan package. So the question arises, Could Ghana's current gold rush, with its devastating environmental side effects, be tacitly encouraged or at least conveniently overlooked by external actors focused primarily on macroeconomic numbers like currency stability and debt repayment capacity? It's a delicate dance. Nations like Ghana often find themselves in a position where they need the financial backing and credibility that institutions like the IMF and World Bank can provide. But this reliance can create pressures to pursue pathways that might not be in the country's own long-term best interest, particularly when it comes to environmental stewardship. Is Ghana being implicitly pushed to sacrifice its natural heritage on the altar of fiscal rectitude and a temporarily strong CEDI? It's a profoundly important question that demands a transparent answer, not just for Ghana, but for any nation navigating the complex world of international finance and development. Section 7, Fool's Gold, the sustainability showdown of short-term gains. So let's recap. The Ghanaian CDI is looking pretty buff, thanks in no small part to a surge in gold reserves. On paper, it's a success story. Exports are up, the currency is stable, inflation on imported goods is easing. Hooray! But now we must address the giant, mud-covered elephant in the room: sustainability, or more accurately, the terrifying lack of it. This strategy, so heavily dependent on gold extracted through means that are laying waste to the environment, is akin to building a mansion on a melting iceberg. It looks grand for a fleeting moment, but the foundations are catastrophically unsound. The stark reality is that the environmental devastation currently underway, the deforestation, the poisoned rivers, the ruined farmland, carries a colossal future price tag. These aren't just unfortunate side effects, they are direct assaults on Ghana's long-term economic viability. When you destroy arable land, you undermine food security and create a need for more food imports, ironically putting pressure back on your currency. When you pollute your rivers, you create public health crises, decimate fisheries, and incur massive future costs for water remediation, if it's even possible. These are not abstract concerns, they are future bills stacking up. There's a very real and very depressing possibility that the current economic gains will be utterly dwarfed by the long-term environmental and social costs. What happens when the easily accessible alluvial gold is gone? What happens when the cumulative effect of mercury poisoning in rivers reaches a critical tipping point? Those gleaming gold reserves sitting in the central bank could, in time, become a bitter reminder of a Faustian bargain. A testament to a period where short-term financial metrics were pursued with a reckless disregard for the enduring wealth of the nation, its natural capital. Furthermore, let's consider the broader economic picture. An artificially strong CDI, propped up by environmentally costly gold, can actually harm other sectors. It can make Ghana's agricultural exports or manufactured goods more expensive on the international market, reducing their competitiveness. This is what the Business and Financial Times alluded to when discussing potential trade-offs. If your primary strategy for currency strength involves degrading the very environment that supports diverse economic activities like farming and tourism, you're not building a resilient economy. You're painting yourself into a very bleak, very polluted corner. Section 8, beyond the mine, greener pastures and taller buildings as alternatives. But here's the thing. It doesn't have to be this way. Ghana isn't doomed to choose between a strong cedi and a healthy environment. There are alternative paths to prosperity, paths that don't involve systematically poisoning your own backyard. At the very top of this list is agriculture. Ghana has vast agricultural potential. Instead of allowing fertile lands to be ravaged by galamsey, imagine a concerted national effort to invest in sustainable farming. This means empowering farmers, promoting agroecology, and developing value chains for uniquely Ghanaian agricultural products. This isn't just about growing more food, it's about growing it smarter and more sustainably. There are calls, as noted in the MSN Summary of Concerns, to move away from reliance on certain foreign fertilizers that are believed to degrade soil health over time. Instead, the focus could be on organic farming, on improving local seed varieties, and on ensuring farmers get fair prices for their produce. A thriving, sustainable agricultural sector can provide food security, create millions of jobs, generate export revenue, and heal the land all at the same time. It's a win-win-win, unlike the win-lose-lose scenario of destructive mining. Then there's the issue of land use and urban development. The pressure on land, especially agricultural land, is immense. Instead of allowing urban sprawl to consume valuable farmland, Ghana could champion smarter urban planning. This includes the idea of encouraging more high-rise construction in cities to accommodate a growing population, thereby preserving rural and peri-urban land for agriculture and green spaces. It's about thinking vertically to save the horizontal. This requires vision and robust planning regulations, but the long-term benefits for food security and environmental integrity would be enormous. Ultimately, diversification is the name of the game. Relying so heavily on one commodity, especially one extracted at such environmental cost, is a recipe for vulnerability. Ghana could invest more seriously in renewable energy. It has abundant sunshine, after all. It could develop its sustainable tourism sector, which ironically depends on the very natural beauty currently under threat. It could foster local manufacturing and innovation. These are not quick fixes. They require patient investment, strong governance, and a genuine commitment to a future where economic progress and environmental health go hand in hand. It's a tougher road, perhaps, but it's the only one that leads to a truly sustainable destination. Section 9, Ghana's crossroads, a golden opportunity or a path to ruin. Ghana right now finds itself at a profoundly serious juncture. It's like standing at a fork in the road with one path glittering invitingly with the promise of immediate economic relief, a stronger CD, and the applause of international markets. This is the path paved with gold, literally. But this path, as we've seen, winds through a landscape of ruined rivers, denuded forests, and poisoned earth. It's a path that mortgages the future for the present, a path that ultimately leads to a desolate place. It's the allure of fool's gold, mistaking short-term shine for long-term value. The current situation throws up some deeply troubling questions about the nature of governance and the effectiveness of democracy in safeguarding long-term national interests. When policies that so clearly benefit a narrow set of immediate goals, like currency appreciation through gold reserves, while inflicting widespread, lasting harm on the environment and rural communities are pursued, one has to ask, whose interests are truly being served? A democratic system is supposed to provide checks and balances to ensure that the voices of the vulnerable are heard and to prevent the kind of catastrophic environmental sacrifice we are witnessing. Clearly, there's a disconnect. There's also a more insidious risk here. The potential emergence of new, subtle mechanisms of societal control. When a nation's economic narrative becomes so tightly bound to a single, environmentally contentious resource, and when the official story is one of success based on indicators like currency strength, it can become increasingly difficult to voice dissent. Criticism of the environmental cost can be dismissed as unpatriotic or as undermining national progress. The greater good of a stable CDI can be used to silence those who speak for the dying rivers and the disappearing forests. This is how environmental concerns get marginalized and how accountability erodes. Therefore, the call to action is not just for Ghanaian leaders, but for everyone involved, citizens, civil society, and yes, the international community that engages with and influences Ghana. The priority must shift urgently and decisively towards sustainable development. This means investing in the enduring health of Ghana's people and its environment, not just in the fluctuating numbers on a currency exchange board. It means robustly enforcing environmental laws, not just paying lip service to them. It means actively supporting and scaling up alternative, sustainable livelihoods. Ghana has a truly opportunity, not just to dig gold from the ground, but to forge a resilient, equitable, and genuinely prosperous future. Let's profoundly hope that this is the path chosen before the temporary glitter fades to reveal only irreversible scars.